Hello, come on in. Come on, you two. Don't nick my chair. Down. Okay, this is a review of the Keter Artisan shed, but it also applies to the Keter Ashwood Signature shed and also to the Keter Cortina shed. Now if we head on over to Keter's own website, you will see there are three almost identical sheds available in slightly different ranges. There's the Signature Ashwood Brown shed, the Cortina shed and the Artisan Pent shed. The Artisan Pent shed is the one that I've purchased and has been available for many years. The Ashwood and the Cortina though, they are relatively new sheds. They're slightly more stylish, perhaps a little bit more contemporary for your garden rather than the slightly grey military bunker that I've got here, which is why I call it the bunker. But they also cost quite a bit more money. You'll notice also that the Artisan is available at more places. I bought mine from Costco, but you can get it from B&Q, Homebase, or you can buy it from Keter's own website themselves. The Ashwood and the Cortina though, that's a different story. The Cortina, that's only available from Costco, same place I bought the Artisan from, but the Ashwood Brown, the signature shed as they call it, that is only available from Keter themselves. And it's £1,700, although if you do sign up to the newsletter or your first purchase, you will get 10% off that price. So it's £170 off that list price. However, if you want to save a bit of money, the Artisan is quite a bit cheaper, especially if you go through Costco. I think I paid $1,270 for it a few weeks back. Other than the appearance of it, there is virtually no difference. The only difference is the construction method of the panels. The main panels themselves on the Artisan, they are vertical. You install them vertically. You may require a little bit of a hand to hold the first couple of panels up. I didn't. I managed to get away with it just on my own. But the other two, the Ashwood and the Cortina, they both go in horizontally. You slide them down in landscape mode if you want to look at it like that. But other than that, once you get past instruction 18 on both the Ashwood and the Cortina, and I think it was 26 on the Artisan, the instruction manuals are exactly the same. Once the panels are in, you've then got lots of little fixings to do. You've got all the screws to do around the bottom, you've got the threshold plate, and then you've got the roof structure. Once you put the roof structure in, you've just got to tack up a lot of little screws all over the place, and that is identical regardless of whichever shed you choose to purchase. Now then, let's have a look at the installation of this thing. These are three very large boxes, one of which is particularly large and you will need help moving them around. And also, it pays to lay everything out. The plastic that all the boxes were wrapped in, I laid all the components out to make sure I'd got everything, which was kind of paid dividends because one of the boxes didn't actually turn up on my first delivery. Now I've set this up as a time-lapse recording and you'll notice straight away that I am on my own here. The instructions, they do recommend having two people, but realistically you can do this on your own with a bit of dexterity. I wouldn't recommend doing it on your own, but you can do it. In reality, the only reason you need anybody else to help you out is just to stand there and hold on to a panel while you're screwing it up. But really, with a bit of dexterity, you can do it yourself, except for two small areas where I would recommend getting a bit of assistance. I still did it on my own just because, well, I got it into my head I was going to do it on my own, so I just did it anyway. It's the first couple of panels. You could just perhaps do with someone to hold on to him while you screw the first ones together. And then as you start to install the roof structure, this bit that I'm doing at the moment, they're the side bits, but the front-facing panel, that is quite weighty. And you'll see me lifting it into place in a moment. We don't actually see what I'm doing. You have to lift it up and over two steel columns that project out of the front elevation. You can just see the column sticking out in the ground there, and the camera juts away, but you have to lift the entire section up and over and locate two columns into a couple of recesses you can't actually see. That was the only bit I could have done with some assistance, but like I say, I was going to do it regardless on my own. Now, the only other point of caution I'll urge is that you do need to get access around the rear of the structure. At some point, when you finish putting the wall panels up, you do need to screw them to the base. That black lip you can see around the base, there are quite a lot of screws that you need to screw in horizontally. So you will need to get behind the structure and screw in, well, you need a space, the length of your drill, and quite a long screw. However, at that point, the whole structure doesn't weigh a great deal and you can slide it forward. And that's what I did. On my own, I was able to slide it forward quite easily to get access around the rear to screw in quite a lot of screws along the back base unit, and then I just pushed it back into place. It's only when you start putting the roof structure in, which is where all the steels are contained, that it starts to become particularly weighty. Now, while I've been talking, I've been assembling the doors, which, to be honest, I think is the weakest point of this entire structure. The manufactured holes, the pre-drilled holes, they weren't quite in the right place, and I did need to shim the left-hand side of the door to get it to align properly. But as you can see, with a small shim onto the bottom part of that left-hand door, everything fitted really quite nicely. In fact, I'm surprised how well everything fitted. Bearing in mind that I had to create the level base for this, and you'll see shortly, this was not a level base at all. I was quite pleased with how this came out. After I finished laying everything out on the driveway, laying the first panel to what you see now took me 6 hours and 40 minutes of construction time on my own, and that included the time it took me to eat an apple and blackberry crumble with custard. Now, don't be afraid to get someone in to help you with this. I like flat pack challenges like this. I quite enjoy doing them, but I can understand that these aren't everyone's cup of tea. And I'm going to stress this, you do need preparation in place for this. This is where I'd earmarked for this shed to go. And as you can see, it is not level at all. And you do need as level a base as you possibly can. This just was not level at all. You can see from the state of those paving slabs. We had a tree that was previously grown just to the side of that fence, which came down many years ago. It had completely disrupted the ground, and over the course of several very hot summer evenings only a few weeks ago, I took up all the paving slabs, I flattened down the ground, I put some type 1 sub base down on here, flattened it down as best as I possibly could, and I wanted to reuse as many of the paving slabs as possible. I did have to buy some new ones in there, but the ones around the edges, they were all the original paving slabs that I salvaged. So I hired in this electric concrete mixer from HSS Hire, brought in lots of bags of sand and cement, and then manufactured this paving area, which, considering it was me that laid it, is actually pretty flat. And I'm stressing this, you do need as level a playing field as you possibly can, because anything that's out of whack will go through to the shed when you're building it. You'll find that some of the panels don't quite line up. I had one that was slightly proud in the back right hand corner, which I trimmed down with a bit of a hacksaw. The following weekend, after constructing the shed, I set about putting electrics in. You're going to wonder why I want 10 sockets in a shed. In a future video, you'll find out why. There's going to be something living in here temporarily. And I was originally going to put a rugby post in the left-hand corner there, where I even painted them up grey because they were going to be standing proud. But having installed them, I thought, you know what, I'm going to frame this out completely. So the first weekend after constructing it, I came in and I framed out half of the structure. I've used, I bought these from Wix. I got CLS timbers of 38 by 63 mil of 2.4 meters in length. To do the entire structure, I needed 24 of those 2.4 meter length. That was just enough to be able to frame out this entire structure, as you can see here. Now, I did this because it gives me options for the future. I can use them as mounting points for shelving and hooks and what have you, but should I so wish, I could put some insulation panels, some 25mm insulation panels, some Kingspan inside there, and insulate it out, and then put either just standard plyboard or maybe even some plasterboard. I could plaster it if I really, really wanted to make it habitable. Now, those electrical sockets, they may seem high off the ground, but that is for a reason. I've got some old kitchen worktop units that are going to go under here, and I'm considering putting in a false floor, frame it out, insulate it, and board it. So the worktop units will be quite high. Those sockets are at perfect height for that. So what made me go for a plastic shed, and why Keter? There's plenty of other alternatives available to me, but I think this is quite a stylish product. If you look in the background, there's a brick structure which has got the same roof line as it. I actually built that roof for that brick structure to match this particular shed. I was going to buy this shed many years ago, I just never got around to it. But I've got a long association with Keter. This is my Store It Out Max. We bought this in July 2015 from Amazon, and it's held up really, really well. It lives under a very sticky, sappy sycamore tree, and it's also in direct sunlight, yet it's held up very well. We keep the bird feed in there and a few camping items in there, and it's always dry, it's always reliable. And when I'm cutting the hedge that's behind it, I stand on it. It's a very sturdy structure. It has got a slight bow on it, but it actually had a slight bow on it when it arrived. I think that is a really, really good structure. Now, this particular one is the Keter Deluxe storage box, and it's one of the lower items in the range of Keter products, and it's not particularly good, if I'm totally honest. I would never want to lift this up off the ground because the bottom would fall out of it. It does maintain everything dry inside, but probably not such a problem with this because I've put all the hose pipes and paraphernalia in there, so it's not a big problem. But It's not the best thing in the range, but you get what you paid for. That is one of the cheapest things in the range. Now that's not actually a Keter product. That I think was a Lifetime picnic bench that we got from Costco, and that's really, really good, that is. The last thing I'm going to show you is the Keter Eden bench that we've had since July 2018, and it stood up to quite a lot of abuse, actually, that does, and it's not got the strongest lid, if I'm honest, but it will support the weight of 3 adults on it, so it's not too bad, actually. So, time for a bit of a wrap up. Do I recommend the Keter Artisan shed, the Ashwood Signature and the Cortina sheds? Well, I always say, would I buy the same product again if I know what I now know? And in this case, yes I would. You do need a level base, that is imperative. However, once you've got that in place, this is a really good build. I enjoyed building it. It's not for everyone, it's flat pack hell if you don't like IKEA type things, but it went up pretty well, and I've been left with a really solid structure. Framed it out and ready for future things. I could move my office into here if I so wish, or I could just as easily have all my garden and DIY tools in here as well. I think this is ticking a lot of boxes, and I'm very happy with my purchase, so yeah, I do recommend it. If you've liked this video, do remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next video, with or without storm. See you later.